Hey YouTube, my name is Thermo, and today I'm going to poorly explain how Australian elections work. First, a little bit of background on how our parliament's structured. At the federal level, we've got your bog standard bicameral legislature, like the kind you see in the US and Canada and the UK. These consist of an upper house and a lower house. The lower house is imaginatively referred to as the House of Representatives, and the upper house is called the Senate. Both of these houses are elected by the people during elections held every 3 or so years. Those elected to the House are referred to as members of Parliament, or MPs, and those elected to the Senate are, surprise, surprise, referred to as senators. These elections are run by the Australian Electoral Commission, which is an independent federal agency tasked with organising, conducting and supervising federal elections, by-elections and referendums. They maintain the National Electoral Roll, which is a list of all registered voters in Australia, which is about 95% of all Australians that are eligible to vote, and their street addresses. The AEC also defines the boundaries of our electorates to make sure that each member of Parliament represents roughly 110,000 people. So gerrymandering isn't really a thing here. Most electorates look normal. There are 151 of these electorates across Australia, and it's these seats that make up the House of Representatives. In addition to these, each of the states gets 12 senators each, and the 2 territories get 2 each, for a total of 76 senators. House members are elected for every 3 years or so, and senators for 6. Traditionally, these elections are linked, and when we go to the polls, we usually elect the entire House and half of the Senate. It is possible for a half Senate election just to happen without a House election, as well as a House-only election, but these are pretty rare. There's also a double dissolution election where everyone gets the sack and has to run again. This is less rare, but still pretty rare, so we won't need to go into those. So 151 MPs, 38 senators are up for election every 3 or so years. So an election's called and a day is announced and the campaign begins. Everyone wants your vote, so we have to suffer through 6 to 10 weeks of TV, radio and online ads, billboards, corflutes, those bikes that tow signs, and your mailbox absolutely stuffed with election bollocks until finally, on a Saturday, you trek down to the nearest public school or community hall, run the gamut of volunteers handing out how to vote cards, and you get in line. Once you're at the front of the line, you give the person your name and street address, and they mark you off the electoral roll. Or you hand them your ID and they find it faster. How do you get on the roll, you ask? Well, let me show you. First things first. You head over to the Australian Electoral Commission's website and you click on Enrol to Vote. Then you pick what you're trying to do, what state you're in, and click Next. You enter your citizenship details. Obviously, only citizens can vote. And then you prove you are who you say you are by either giving them your driver's license, proof of age card, passport, or a statutory declaration from someone who knows you and knows you are who you say you are. This is usually a parent, and this person will be required to prove who they are. Once that's done, you get a letter in the mail from the AC telling you you're enrolled to vote. Right, so you're on the roll. The person marks you off the roll as having voted. They sign and stamp your 2 ballots and hand them to you. You head over to one of the empty cardboard booths and use the provided pencil to fill out your ballot. I'll show you here a demo ballot. All right, so this is the practice voting tool. So this is the House of Representatives ballot. So we scroll down here, you'll see all the candidates and their respective parties and little boxes next to them. So you'll have the electoral division, which is the electorate you're in. Okay, and then we just number the boxes for each candidate you prefer. So we really want the Sun Party to win. So we put a 1 in the Sun box. If the Sun Party don't win, then we'll be fine to go with the Fog Party. So we put a 2 in the Fog Party box. Then a 3 in the Humid Party box. 4 in the Cloudy Party box. 5 in the Rain Party box. 6 in the Frost Party box. 7 in the Breeze Party box. And then an 8 in the Independent box. Because that's the one we really don't want. And there you go. So that's a valid vote. So let's have a look at the Senate. So the Senate ballot is different. So you can vote 2 ways. You can vote above the line, where you fill out at least 6 of the boxes, or you can vote below the line, where you fill out at least 12 of the boxes. So above the line are the group tickets, and below the line are the individual candidates. So you can't mix. You can only pick one or the other, and it works very much the same. So you order either your groups in preference, 1 to 6. So you can, of course, do more than 6, but you need to do at least 6. So we'll clear all these out. Just hit the reset button. And then below the line, we need to pick each individual candidate. So you may not like the top ranking candidate, but you may like so in this case, we prefer the second candidate on the Rain Party ticket over the 4th candidate, and we really don't like the 3rd candidate. Yeah. So we number these boxes to 12. And we're good. Okay, so you've filled out your ballots. Now it's time to fold them up and stuff them into the ballot boxes. You'll see 2 boxes, one marked House of Reps with a green bar and one marked Senate with a purple bar. You'll put each of your ballots into the corresponding ballot boxes, and then you'll head outside for a democracy sausage. Don't ask. Now it's just a waiting game. Once the polls close at 6 p.m, the AEC workers take the box to the counting location and they empty the ballots for the House of Representatives and begin the counting process. Australia uses a fully preferential voting system for our lower house elections, so those boxes that we numbered, they're important in the counting process. So in order to win a seat in the lower house, you have to have 50% of the total votes plus 1. So the AEC takes a first count by sorting all the votes by their first preference. This is the person next to whom you put the number 1. If someone has 50% of the total votes cast plus 1, they're declared the winner. If no one has 50% plus 1, then they look at the candidate who has the least number of votes and distribute those votes to whomever was marked as number 2 on those ballots. If there's still no candidate with 50% plus 1, they repeat this process until all second preferences have been distributed. Then they eliminate a candidate and start distributing third preferences. This continues again until someone has 50% plus 1 and they are declared the winner. All votes are eventually counted and preferences distributed, so there's a full accounting of final preferences. This process takes place in all 151 electorates across Australia, and the party or parties in a formal coalition who manage to win 76 seats or more will form government, and they'll take a victory lap. The process for counting the Senate is similar, but the preference distributions are more complicated because of what's called group voting tickets. But basically, because there are 6 seats to allocate to each state, you need roughly 1/6 of the total vote to get what they call a quota. So usually the major parties will take the top 2 to 4 slots in the first count, and the minor parties will fight it out with the big parties for the last 2 slots. And that's it. Election done. Oh, one final thing. While voting in Australia is compulsory, that doesn't actually mean you have to vote. You can choose to spoil your ballot if you like by scrawling all over the ballot that all politicians suck. Or you can not even bother showing up and pay the fine. It's only $55. But really, it's not that much of a hassle. And if popping down the school is too much to ask, you can vote early in a few places in almost all electorates. Or you can apply to vote by mail. In order to vote by mail, you need to request a ballot and have a valid reason. Then you have to fill out the ballot in the presence of a witness. And that witness and you both have to sign the ballot and seal it. And it gets sent off to the AEC to be counted. And I think that's it. Yeah. So if you like the video, do the usual, like, comment, whatever. You can find me on Twitter until I get banned at NotThatThermo. And thanks for watching.